Hey everyone, welcome to the newest episode of Games I Speak. I'm Geo,
And I'm Josie.
and today we have a special guest whose name is John. He's a good friend of ours. John, why don't you introduce yourself and let everyone know what type of gamer you are?
What's up, guys? John here. I am primarily a Nintendo gamer, but also have a lot of experience both in the Xbox and PlayStation as well. I would say I'm a huge indie gamer as well, and I'm very happy to be here joining you guys.
Great, thanks for joining us today. Yeah, there's a weird glitch with the cameras, but don't let it distract you. But we invited John today to discuss the Nintendo Direct because he's a big Nintendo guy. So let's get started. First up, this is something that caught my attention this week. So apparently there was a leaked footage of a canceled Sucker Punch game called The Prophecy. So I'm just gonna kind of play a little bit of footage. This is actually on the Games I Beat website if you want to go check it out. So it looks like an Assassin's Creed type game. So at the beginning of the gameplay, it shows this kind of like a thief-looking figure whose name is Abel Tavora, and he gets discovered by some guards, and then he starts running away through the city in like a very Assassin's Creed type way. So, like my speculation was that they were working on this game and they just got like overwhelmed with the scope of Ghost of Tsushima, so they just dropped it and went to Ghost of Tsushima. But I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting. What do you all think?
John?
Yeah, cool. I mean, obviously, Ghost of Tsushima is a massive game, and more or less the swan song of the PlayStation 4. So it would make sense that they would have to divert all resources to this, to Ghost, and put this kind of on the back burner. I wonder if this is something that they're going to revive now that Ghost is launched, and maybe split some of their team to work on this game, while a portion of the team remains to work on any sort of DLC for Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it was leaked by an insider that wants to gauge interest in such a game, and maybe they can go ahead and just make it so that it's next gen prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, like, what time period does it take place in? It for a moment there, it felt like it was kind of post apocalyptic, but then like with the armor, I don't know
Yeah.
what time period does it take place.
It looks like it takes place in medieval times.
Yeah.
But
But that dude's jacket is so modern.
I know it's
yeah,
it's
I've seen that
weird.
jacket in the Republic.
Yeah, it does look like a modern jacket, but the guards are definitely wearing like some medieval type armor. So I
Yes.
don't know. It's weird.
Has it
Yeah.
been confirmed that this game wasn't, in fact, just kind of converted into Ghost of Tsushima?
So that's an interesting question because there is a weird. Well, there was some similarities when he was like kind of going through obstacles. It was very similar to the way you do it in Ghost of Tsushima. Like, for
Right.
example, when he went through the gate, that's how you would go through a gate in Ghost of Tsushima. So it could be that they're both using the same engine. you
Yeah, that's
know?
true.
Yeah, it could be that.
I
But
mean, Ubisoft does that a lot with their games, and so does Square Enix, where they'll have like a repository of animations and different types of just graphical items that they reuse for various games.
yeah, it makes sense because good asset management leads to faster development. So,
Correct.
Massive expensive to develop.
so here's a question: would either of you be interested in a game like that?
I would need to see more. It's already along that wheelhouse that I would enjoy, but at the same time, it is kind of getting to be like a saturated market. There's a lot of Assassin's Creeds out there, and Ghost of Tsushima had like a pretty, I'd say, steep hill to climb. in terms of being impressive amongst that playing field, and thankfully they've succeeded.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn is, kind of Assassin's Creed. Like, you got to get to checkpoints. You have to look through the map, collecting resources. It's open world, but they do everything so incredibly well and a beautiful package that it stands out.
Yeah. What about you, John?
I would need to see more. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, I have to agree with her, or Josie. Sorry. Yeah, those types of games are all over the place. They're a dime a dozen at this point. And to be honest, finding a truly original sort of game or genre is pretty unique these days. So it's all about execution, right? Ghost of Tsushima has elements that harken to the type of gameplay that Ubisoft really kind of popularized with the Assassin's Creed type of games, but they put it in a Japanese, or like a medieval Japanese setting that people were kind of hungry for. So that, along with like really AAA execution, is why I think Ghost of Tsushima is doing really well.
Yeah.
What is this game called again?
It's called The Prophecy.
If The Prophecy is anything that kind of differentiates itself from the litany of Assassin's Creed-esque games out there, then I think it has a shot, and I think it'll grab my interest at that point. But I want to see more, like Josie said.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with both of you. All right. Next up, this is something me and Josie kind of went back and forth on during the week. And it brings up a lot of questions. So essentially what happened was, I don't know if both of you know, you probably do, but there was a remake of MediEvil, which is like an old PS1 game. And on the actual game disc, I believe, or it could, I'm not sure if it's on the game disc or if it's part of an update you download for the game, but there's a PS1 emulator built into the game, which allows you to play the PS1 version of the game on the PS4. So this is a guy, Man Fight Dragon. He's on Twitter, and he posted this video of him actually running Silent Hill on his PS4 using this emulator that was found in the MediEvil Remake. So me personally, I get excited when I see things like this because, for one, it brings more life to the console itself after the console's dead and Sony moves on, because now it gives the possibility for people to use it to play PS1 games. And two, it makes me question, are there other games out there that have emulators that we don't know about? Like, does Sony already have PS1, PS2, and PS3 emulators for the PS4? And is this a viable strategy for kind of doing backwards compatibility? I mean, what do you say, John?
I mean, it's definitely interesting. I didn't know about this news until just minutes before this taping when you told me about it. Yeah, I'd like to see people out there just kind of hack away and find these hidden emulators. As far as if this is the future where they just kind of pack in these games, I doubt it. I feel like there's money to be made here, and when there's money to be made, these companies are going to find a way to make it, and so they'll probably set up some kind of like a virtual shop where they can sell these. And I think that's been sort of the agreed upon sort of way that the industry is moving forward with these legacy games.
Yeah. What about you, Josie?
We went back and forth on this, and I personally wasn't too impressed, mostly because the emulation is through the software, through the video game itself. It's not actually on the PS4 itself, which I thought initially that was the case. So, I mean, if anything, it will affect only a select few of people that would even hack the system just to do that.
Yeah.
That being the case, I'm actually disappointed that PlayStation 4, unlike the PlayStation 3 and every PlayStation before it, can't play PlayStation 1 games. And I think the reason being is that they just don't have, or they didn't put the upscaling technology to reduce any kind of lag, and especially input lag, and to solidify the frame rate and the aspect ratio and how these games are presented on HD televisions. So it seems like a poor substitute from, maybe purchasing a what's it called, the OSSC, or any kind of scale upscaler that can really improve the way older consoles show their content on HD television.
Yeah.
And also at the same time reducing input latency.
Yeah. So, and also you and me had covered before that there's a belief from those uncovered patents that Sony's actually going to do all their emulation on the cloud, which you and me think is not a good idea because it introduces another level of lag that players have to deal with.
Exactly.
But I want to hear from John because I know you're a big digital gamer. What do you think? Do you think that you would be interested in kind of like a cloud version of emulation where you could hook up your PS5 and play and buy some PS1 games, PS2 games, and it would run in the cloud? I mean, would that be as long as it ran well? Obviously that's important, but would you be interested in that? Because I know you're a digital guy.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely a digital guy, but I also have physical content as well, and I'm not ready to completely divorce myself from physical content just yet, just because of the limitations and the infrastructure that we have right now in the U.S. Not all places have really fast internet, so it's not completely viable just yet. As far as having access to these types of legacy games in the cloud, I'm all for it. That's one of the main reasons why I'm actually interested in the Xbox Series X and their Game Pass and the xCloud, which is a topic I'm sure we're going to address either later on today or at some other point. But yeah, having access to those games. Correct me if I'm wrong. These older games are simpler or not as complex as modern games, so it might be easier to stream those. Am I wrong there?
No, no, you're right. So the game files are very small, and obviously the computing power needed is much less. But I think Josie brought up a good point, is that a lot of the issue when you're playing older games on newer televisions is the scaling. And so, for example, I mean, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that it's better to scale up a PlayStation 1 game, which you would scale up to 480p, and then it's easier, or it's not easier, it's better to scale that into 720p. Because something about the integer scaling, I'm not an expert here, but it just looks better at 720p. And obviously, if you're trying to play an old PlayStation 1 game in 4K on like a PS4 Pro, it's just not going to look that great. So yeah, that's a good point Josie made.
Well, one thing I can agree with you, Geo, or that you would probably agree with me, is anyone who wants that kind of information, they should head to the YouTube channel My Life in Gaming. They what's up when it comes to the older school consoles and playing them on current television sets. And then one thing that I like to say, a note that I agree with John, and I think you'd agree too, is that access to these games, I believe, is important. And having not just access, but allowing you to sustain the availability of these games is just as important for people to actually play them, because that's why the retro market is so insane, is because you can't play these games on a current generation console. you have to have like a GameCube in order to play something like Piano 3 or something. You know,
Yeah.
that's a bad example, but you have to have a place to play a game like I'm gonna go ahead and say like like Lunar One or something. I don't know. I don't know if it's available on PlayStation Network, but the PlayStation Network and the Wii U Wii Shop by extension, they all had these games available. But now that all these companies are seeing the viability of retro games and trying to get their piece of the pie and selling their own version of the game, whether it be in a collection or by itself via an eShop, it's really severely limiting, and people don't know what people want, or publishers don't know what people want because people want everything.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. The availability of the game trumps all. And if it's a game that maybe it runs a little bit slower or whatever, but just being able to play it is the most important thing. So, yeah, I do agree with you there.
The only medium where their content is locked in the past. If you don't have access to those consoles, you look at like TV shows and movies, you can get that content anywhere. You can watch I Love Lucy from the 50s on your TV now if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And it's you can't say the same thing. I can't play Piano 3 from the GameCube.
No.
I can't play Beautiful Girl unless I had a GameCube.
Yeah.
And those games back and giving them new life is important for not just the game but for the industry as well.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. And I mean, let's get really obscure here. I mean, the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, when that came out, that's my favorite retro mini console because getting your hands on a TurboGrafx 16 or a PC Engine that works well is expensive. Then just getting the cartridges for those things is super expensive. So, yeah, I mean, come on, like
Shooters, shmups.
people. Hey, Josie, am I wrong here? But would people lose their mind if Sega made a Sega Saturn Mini? Tell me that would not be amazing.
Hell yes. I mean, people are at least from what I've heard. I can't speak for everyone, but people are interested in a Nintendo 64 Mini.
Yeah.
And Nintendo 64 doesn't have a lot of great games. No offense.
No. Smash 64, that's a good game.
Paper Mario 64, which Mario 64 now runs better. I like the DS version, but I don't know if it runs better.
Yeah.
It run better.
Huh?
It does run better on the DS. Funny enough, is the definitive way to play Super Mario 64.
Yeah. But still, GoldenEye. There's tons of little classics that you can play on the Nintendo 64 that people are actually hampering for. They want it.
Yeah.
So Sega Saturn, there's so many games that are locked behind that console.
Yeah. And if they did it,
let alone Sega CD.
Yeah, Sega
32X.
32X, no.
All of those, put the hits on all of those in one console. I'd get that.
Yeah.
I actually
100%. Both good games on the 32X. I get those.
Yeah. I actually okay, you want to hear something crazy? And I just found out about this, but there was like a weird Super Nintendo. I think it was a Super Nintendo. I'm mistaken, but it was like their version of like a 32X or something. Is there something like that, Josie, or am I making it up?
64DD.
I think you're making it up.
Okay. I'm trying to think.
But Japan had a 64DD expansion pack that was Japan only. And
that was for the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, and then Nintendo had the Satellaview, which was like their first foray into online gaming, which I believe was Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Japan only, of course. So yeah, this was way before online gaming was remotely viable.
Yeah.
But in a smaller market like Japan, it was close to being viable. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And even
I still want a TurboGrafx 16 Mini, but that's a good example in that hardware is incredibly hard to find.
It is.
That's not even available. But if it was available digitally, then you'd have access to it no matter the hardware.
Yeah. And let me say, I did a super comprehensive review of the TurboGrafx 16 Mini. So if anyone wants to see that, I fully recommend getting that thing because it's got some awesome games on it. It really does.
Hey, Geo, where can I find that video?
At Games I Beat, at this channel right here.
Put the link below.
Okay, so next up, this is something that you showed me, Josie. So we have some news about the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
Yeah.
So I didn't have time to go through all this, so why don't you take over this one, Josie?
Oh, there's barely any information. It's just literally that they are full on in development, but via remote like working. So
Oh, okay.
it's difficult because of the current situation with the pandemic, but they are currently working on part two and talking about the future, which I feel like they should have done this ahead of time. They're talking about how many parts this game will be cut into.
Okay, and what did they say?
Oh, they're just talking about it. There's no exact answer for that just
Okay.
yet, unfortunately, which is a sticking point for me. And I know John, you can speak to this, but I know that you didn't purchase it because you're not, you don't want to play it episodically. You want to play the full thing.
I want the Ultimate Edition, all in one.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
me and Josie.
Five.
Okay, me and Josie, we even talked about like, because we were both signed up to get the collector's edition, and then I canceled mine because I was like you. I was like, oh, you know what? They're probably gonna come out with like an ultimate edition that has all this good stuff, and I'm just gonna wait for that. But
And
but
yeah,
I played the first part,
I agreed with
obviously.
you.
Yeah, I played the first part.
But it's funny. So I'm just thinking, looking ahead at how the atmosphere, the environment is changing in terms of physical to digital with the PlayStation 5 releasing their digital only version. And I'd be interested to see how long it takes to develop the entire game, when it will end, and by the end of it, will they even have a physical version?
Man, that would be a disaster if they don't make a physical version of the because then people like John would be like, "Damn it."
How big is that bastard going to be? How big is the first part? Isn't it like 100 gigs?
It's huge, man.
Yeah,
It's huge.
but it's only huge because I think it was struggling to play on the PlayStation 4, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with just the graphic quality, like and the cinematics, because there's a lot of cinematics in there.
If they can get better at compressing it without losing fidelity, then it'll probably be a smaller package when it finally ships.
Yeah, and that's actually something that Xbox is really focusing on is compressing textures and game files because they're moving towards the cloud platform. All right, so yeah, thanks for that article though, Josie, because it led me to this article, which is Captain Tsubasa. They they basically put out a trailer. I'm just gonna kind of play this in the background. They put out a
Hell yeah.
trailer as far as how the online's going to work. And so the cool thing here, from what I see, is that this is going to have full online multiplayer support. So,
We're we're both getting PlayStation 4, right?
yeah, I ordered PlayStation 4. So here they show kind of like, let me go back to that. Okay, so here we got a look of the main menu. So the journey, I assume that's your like first person play
The campaign.
campaign versus which is like co-op or offline versus online versus practice. You can probably practice all your moves and stuff. Ultimate edit. I'm assuming this is where you edit your teams and your characters. Collections. This is probably maybe stuff that you unlock throughout the game, like trophies or stuff like that. And then obviously options. So let's go. So here you can see they have actual like country teams. right here. So this is actually interesting. I didn't think they were going to have something like this. So I don't know if the anime, I haven't seen it, if the anime goes into depth by like how the real soccer teams work and stuff like that, but I assume it does. Um,
They,
yeah, go
I
go
don't.
ahead.
I don't. Yeah. So sports anime is a very popular genre in the shonen sort of genre, very popular subgenre in the shonen genre. And what's interesting about sports anime is that they go into very real detail about real technique in whatever sport that anime is about. I'm watching one currently about volleyball. Haikyuu goes into very deep details about the actual sport of volleyball. And I think we've all watched Hajime no Ippo from years ago, and that similarly did the same sort of thing, just diving deep and being very educational, along with being entertaining about the sport of boxing. So I assume Captain Tsubasa is just, similar in that way.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right about that. Hajime no Ippo is a great example. And here you can see you can actually edit your own team. So you can team name, emblem, uniform, player, uniform number, and then here they show like an editor. So you can change. It looks very granular. So
Looks robust.
yeah, it I mean I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? For me, it makes me even more excited for this game because now it looks like we're gonna all be able to play online together.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, no, I'm actually super excited. And Bandai Namco also did Code Vein, and Code Vein also had a lot of options for character creation, which I think they're gonna want to carry over through games that have access to something like this, because it was just so well received.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. And I haven't played Code Vein yet, but I've heard great things.
It's fun. It's okay. I give it like a 6, 7 out of 10.
Okay. So this leads me to a question for John. So John, do you think you'll get this game?
I'm not sure. Honestly, it looks fun, and I like sports anime as an anime sort of buff. It does remind me of Mario Strikers, which is a game that came out on GameCube that I loved. And I'm not a big sports gamer like you guys, although a select few I will play, and they have to be arcadey really for me to get into it. And this kind of looks like it fills that kind of need. But I think I'll wait and see what you guys have to say about it when you
Yeah,
review it on this channel.
yeah. And actually no, me and Josie are just like you. We're not sports gamers at all. In fact, when we were talking about this game, we were like the only reason we're interested in it is it because it is an anime sports game.
Exactly, because it looks so over the top and fun rather than just like zoomed out and realistic actual sports.
Yeah. Um, okay, so next up, let's jump into the meat of this episode. And one of the main reasons you're here, John. So Nintendo Direct Mini. Um, so I'm briefly gonna just touch the games. So this is not a full size Direct. This is a mini, but I'm just gonna briefly go over these and then we can discuss. So uh, the big title that a lot of people are talking about is Shin Megami Tensei 5. I probably said that wrong, but this is a Atlas. This is done by Atlas, and it's I don't know. I've never played these games, so I was hoping you guys would kind of delve into this series, and then along with that, they're doing a remaster of 3 Nocturne HD remaster. So that's kind of big news for anyone into this franchise. I'm sure a lot of people are excited about that. Um, then they released Rogue Company, or not released, but they talked about Rogue Company, which is a new shooter. And this one actually I thought looked pretty interesting. And I'm a big first person shooter player, but Switch obviously doesn't have much in that genre compared to like PC or PlayStation 4 or Xbox. But this looks pretty interesting. I'm actually thinking of trying this one out. And then the prize of them all. WWE 2K Battlegrounds. Definitely looks like a contender for Game of the Year. Uh, but no, that all jokes aside, this people were furious about this game, and we can we could talk about that a little bit. Um, and cadence of Hyrule Season Pass. Um, and I was hoping, John, you could talk about this because you're a huge Zelda fan. And so here it says there's a character pack, melody pack, and additional story content from Symphony of the Mask. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, let's. Who wants to start off first? John?
I'll go.
Yeah, John.
Yes. As I said at the beginning of the video, I am a huge Nintendo gamer. I have been since the NES, and I'm the type of guy that kind of scours the internet almost on a daily basis to find any sort of new Nintendo news out there. I'm also the type of guy. I am the guy that literally takes the day off when E3 was still a thing and Nintendo had their presentation day. I would literally take off that day from work, order a shit ton of Chinese food, and just veg out, consuming all the Nintendo information that I love, and stuffing my face with greasy Chinese food. I'm that guy. So I've seen every Nintendo Direct, almost always at the time they were occurring. So needless to say, I am definitely one of the biggest Nintendo fans I know. Having said that, this Nintendo Direct Mini was a huge disappointment. After it's been the last full Nintendo Direct that covered Nintendo games in general, not just these one game specific directs, which are fairly common, was in September of last year. So it's almost a 9-month period from the last time they had a Nintendo full direct. So to kind of throw this upon us and give us an 8-minute video of 5 games, most of which aren't that interesting, was a big letdown. The Shin Megami Tensei reveals were probably the biggest news of the Direct, especially 5, because Shin Megami Tensei 5, I've never played the series either, but that was one of the first games ever announced for the Nintendo Switch back when it was still called the Revolution. So that is a big deal to finally get a date, at least a general date. And the 3 Nocturne, I think, is Josie mentioned this to me a couple days ago when we were talking about how this could be their big push to get more Atlas games popularized in the American market, and I think this is sort of their attempt to do so. The WWE Battlegrounds game, I have no interest in. I don't like wrestling, and the Cadence of Hyrule game. Honestly, I played a demo when the demo came out early this year, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. I think the graphics are great. I think the art style is amazing, and the music is phenomenal. In fact, sometimes I'll actually listen to the music streaming off of YouTube without really having any interest in the game. So I like that. I like the fact that this developer has such a deep relationship with Nintendo, where Nintendo will trust them with one of their most storied franchises to kind of create this unique game. But personally, it's just not for me, and that's after having played the demo for a few rounds or so.
Okay, Josie, what about you?
I agree with John for the most part. Cadence of Hyrule, I played it when it was Crypt of the Necrodancer, and I knew right away that I wasn't going to enjoy the game. So I've kind of just haven't even given it a chance because I've played the original, and from what I understand, it plays the same, just with Zelda skin, which, like John said, kudos to them, and awesome that Nintendo is letting a smaller company take the reins of one of their larger IPs. WWE Battlegrounds is definitely my game of the year. No. Here's a positive thing I can say about WWE Battlegrounds is the fact that they've scaled back the graphical push that they've had for previous WWE games. And by that, I mean, they've just tried to port over what they did for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One to Switch. And the Switch would buckle at the requirements of what they wanted for WWE. And they've kind of, cartoonified to make it more easier for the Switch to handle. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I hope that wrestling fans will enjoy that too. That being said, I'm not really interested in that game. And then we have Rogue Company. Rogue Company, I'm not. It seems like isn't it battle royale style?
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
There's like no story.
It
So-
looks
Yeah,
like they're
so-
trying to get a new entry in on the battle royale scene.
Yeah.
I do
I'm
want to.
more,
I do
I'm
want
more
to
of a
on this.
campaign player. Sorry, John.
Can I chime in on Rogue Company
Yeah.
real quick?
Yeah.
So it's not a battle royale as we know it compared to like Fortnite and Apex Legends. It's a squad based game, so it's almost like Counter Strike in a way. And I didn't know that. Like Joe's, we watched it together when it was released. We thought it was a BR game when we kind of immediately wrote it off. But then I went back like yesterday and I looked at some content about that game just to see what it actually was on YouTube, and it turns out that it's a squad-based game where you dropped into an area and then you work with teams of 4 to kind of achieve some kind of goal. So it's a little bit different. And from what I've seen from playing the beta, there seems to be pretty positive buzz behind it. So like you, Gio, I am kind of interested in it simply from the fact that it's a free game to play. And I like some of the developers' past work. I think Paladins, which is like what is
Like
that?
the Overwatch.
Yeah, it's like Overwatch, and I thought it was a pretty competent game.
Yeah.
Well-made, competent game. So I'll try it out for free. Why not?
Yeah, and so if what you're saying is true, then this game is more like Valorant. Have you guys ever seen Valorant?
I know what it is. I haven't played it.
That's the new
New,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's from Riot Games, the people who make League of Legends, and that's a team-based, squad-based shooter, and it's kind of like a cross between Overwatch, where you have like unique abilities and stuff like that, and Counter Strike, where you have team-based objective, that you accomplish with like a tactical shooting game. So it's probably more like that. So it looks like the genre is headed more towards that. And, I think it's interesting. Hyperscape just came out. That's a free-to-play kind of team-based battle royale. It's very similar to Fortnite. That one just came out from Ubisoft. You know what? It hasn't come out fully. It's in beta, I believe. And I played the beta. And it was fun too. So, yeah, I think there's definitely a place for a game like that on the Switch. And I just wanted to kind of like, I wish I had it, but did any of you see the WWE 2K game like response on YouTube?
No.
It had some of the most dislikes I've ever seen in like a Nintendo video. But I think what happened was, like you, Josie, I was like, oh, you know what? This looks interesting because it's kind of got these cartoonish graphics. It's not like the other WWE games. But I think,
Yeah, it looks more arcadey.
yeah, it looks more like an arcade. It looks like a party game, like something you would just pick up and play with a group of friends. But I think people were mad because they were expecting more, like John said, from this Direct Mini. I think they wanted more. They wanted better games. They wanted more information on stuff that they were looking for. They weren't looking for WWE 2K.
Oh, let me cap off what I was going to say. Rogue Company, I'm not that interested. I'm more interested in more single player first person shooters, like BioShock or Far Cry. And then in terms of Shin Megami Tensei, I played Nocturne, like a third of Nocturne or half Nocturne, and I never beat it. So this is a good. I've been meaning to even play it again and actually restart. So now I have to wait even longer. But I'm pretty excited for that. That they have remastered the graphics and added voice acting. And to answer your question as to what type of game it is, it's a turn-based JRPG, a la Pokemon, but instead of monsters, they're demons.
Okay.
You collect demons. You fight these demons, and you have the opportunity to either kill them or collect them, and then they fight alongside you, and you level them up, and you even do demon fusions. It's a mature Pokemon game. That's pretty
Okay.
much the single sentence for that. And then Shin Megami Tensei 5 has Lucifer, and showed Lucifer in the video. And what happens is that Lucifer is one of the last bosses, or the last boss in Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne.
Okay.
So a lot of people are speculating that this is a either sequel or spiritual sequel to 3, hence why they're releasing both of them.
Okay.
And personally, as disappointing as this direct is, mostly because of the delay in getting a direct at all, I am excited for these Shin Megami Tensei games. I am a collector of those games, and I do want to play them.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, that makes sense. And I want to say, like, you were saying, like, or I think it was John that said they were trying to find a way to bring Atlas games to the market. There is kind of a following of Atlas games among fighting game players, like myself, because they make amazing fighting games. So it would be interesting to play like a different type of Atlas game. And I know they have other games like, is it Persona that's done by Atlas? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, but they make great games, and I like seeing. But it would, you know what? It would be interesting to see them to go into some other genres as well.
Well, so they did the rhythm game, which is like Dancing in Starlight, Dancing in Moonlight, and they've done the fighting games, and the fighting games were co-created with I believe it's the same developer that did Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Sammy? Is that Sammy?
I can't remember, man.
I believe it, but it's the same
Okay.
developer, the same ones that were behind Blaze Blue.
Okay, yeah.
And that's why they have that cross tag battle game. So it's not all just Atlas, and Atlas is a small company, and they're owned by Sega. So it is disappointing that they haven't made as many games, but they can only do so much, and that's another reason why they're hesitant to even port these games, because it does take a lot of resources to do so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that was a good covering of the Nintendo Direct Mini, and hopefully Nintendo learns from this one and they put out more, but with more substance.
Well, I will say that they did say that this is the start of the series.
Okay.
So this is the first one of a series. And keep in mind, if the pandemic wasn't a thing, this would have been included as part of a larger E3 Nintendo Direct, which would have covered their first party lineup for this year and next year, along with all their third party partners. I do give them credit for as much as I kind of was disappointed with this mini direct. If they had put these out individually as tweets or just randomly threw it up on YouTube, it wouldn't have gotten the sort of attention that it has gotten now that it's bundled together. That being said, putting these out on a regular cadence, and then at some point before the end of the year, hopefully I think August or September would be a prime time to put out a more full-fleshed direct with their first party lineup, especially since there's nothing on the calendar year for the rest of 2020 from Nintendo. The last thing they put out was Paper Mario: The Origami King, and there's literally nothing else for the rest of the year. So what are they going to do for the launch of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X? Just going to sit on their hands?
Yeah.
There's something out there they're going to put out. We just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, you're right.
In response to that, in terms of PS5 and Xbox One, the only thing I can say is that they're not competing with them.
No.
And that's why they're not doing anything.
That is definitely an option, just to kind of let them fight it out and kind of bide their time while these two big giants kind of fight for each other, or for the consumer dollar. That is certainly an option. I don't know if it's the best option, but it's definitely an option.
Just all signs point to that option being the one that they're taking, especially with I believe it was a year ago that they've swatted down the rumor of a Switch Pro coming out anytime soon.
Yeah, and I do got to say that I think a Switch Pro would be good for them. It would definitely make it easier to port over more games to the Switch. And also, what about a Switch VR? I mean, that I think that's a good option too, because the Switch,
They already have it.
it's
It's called Labo, bro.
yeah.
Yeah, Twitch
um,
already has VR, but it's terrible.
okay. What
Strapping
about
you're strapping a 720 screen to your eyes. It's not going to be good.
yeah. No, I mean like a more like
You
Like a
already do that
proper,
with the PlayStation
yeah,
VR.
yeah. I
like a
mean like a PlayStation VR,
yeah,
because
yeah,
they already got the controllers, right?
yeah. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
they already
I
got the
think
controllers.
I think that's more of a Switch 2 sort of upgrade as opposed to a Switch Pro.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Switch Pro is expected to be like an incremental increase in power, kind of like the new 3DS and the new 3DS Plus or whatever it's called. Josie might know.
It was called New 3DS.
What a name! What a name!
Yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
shot for the moon with that one.
Yeah,
And it seems like they would have upgraded the Switch when they did the last Switch upgrade, which was what was that for? Was that for the battery power or something?
battery
Yeah.
life. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that would have been a good opportunity, but oh well. Okay, so next up we have big news from the Xbox Games Showcase. Now, this was a very polarizing thing in the game community from what I've seen. Some people liked what they saw. A lot of people did not like what they saw, and I'm just gonna kind of briefly go over these, and then we can talk about it like because there's a lot to talk about here. So first up, they did release a trailer for Halo Infinite. Um, I mean this here says a lot. Halo Infinite is the biggest and most ambitious Halo game ever created. I mean, we can get into why they shouldn't have done this, but they touted this game like it's going to be some amazing thing, and it just didn't connect with a lot of people. Um, Now they do say it has a flawless 60 frames per second locked for gameplay. I just think that is setting the bar low these days because I mean PC gamers have been playing 60 frames forever, and I mean the Nintendo has 60 frames. It's just a low bar in my opinion. Um, so you have As Dusk Falls. This is an interactive drama from Interior Night, uh, and then Avowed. This is done by Obsidian, and this is a first-person RPG, and it's set in a fantasy world of Eora. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Now, this is a game that I was looking forward to actually before I was reading news about this before this showcase. Fable. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Fable series. I love Fable 2. I played the heck out of it on my original Xbox, and I really want to see them do something good with this game. Um, so this is developed for the Series X and Windows 10, and it's coming on Game Pass. Um, Forza Motorsport. This game does actually look impressive. Most of the Forza games do look impressive. This will run at 4K, 60 frames. And this one does have newer ray tracing technology. So that's definitely more of a next gen type game. The Gunk from the creators of the Steam World franchise, we're all big fans of that. Um, so this is an adventure and the puzzle game is challenging puzzles on your quest to unravel the mystery of a forgotten planet while saving it in the process. Fantasy Star Online 2. So I actually have a lot of the older Fantasy Star games. I don't have the newer ones, which really aren't that new at all. But this is something that me and Josie actually talked about in earlier episodes. This is a game that's been being played in Japan for a while, and it looks like, or they've already said that they're bringing it to Xbox. So it'll be interesting to see if American players kind of enjoy this type of game. Stalker 2, uh, this is a first person shooter and horror game. State of Decay 3, this is done by Undead Labs. The next evolution in State of Decay, and this is a zombie survival game. Tetris Effect Connected. This is just another rehashing of Tetris, probably adding new features and systems into the game. Warhammer 40K Dark Tide. So this is done from the developers of the co-op franchise Vermintide. I don't know if either of you played Vermintide, but it was very well received. In fact, I would say it's probably the most successful Warhammer game in the last, I don't even know, 5-10 years maybe. The game is it's kind of like Left 4 Dead, where you and a team kind of just fight off hordes of enemies, but it's very satisfying gameplay, first person, and it has melee combat. So yeah, I'll keep an eye out on this, but most of the Warhammer games, they don't fare too well in my opinion. And then we were talking about this Crossfire X. So this is a fast-paced first-person shooter. Definitely has multiplayer support. I don't know much about this game. Maybe we can bring this up later. And then Destiny 2 has a new expansion, Beyond Light. This is the next chapter. Let's see. Okay? So it says Destiny 2 is also coming to Game Pass in September. So I mean, they're really loading up on their Game Pass. John, you were talking about Everwild. This is done by Rare, same makers of Donkey Kong. And Everwild is a brand new game in development from Rare, where unique and unforgettable experiences await in a natural and magical world. Play as an eternal as you explore and build bonds with the world around you. Grounded, also done by Obsidian. This is a co-op survival adventure game. It says it has a narrative-led hook, and it has RPG elements. The medium, let's okay, travel to an old communist resort and use your unique psychic abilities to uncover its disturbing secrets, solve dual reality puzzles, survive encounters with sinister spirits, and explore two realities at the same time. Sounds like an adventure type puzzle type game. So the Outer Worlds, Peril on Gorgon. So I am actually playing the Outer Worlds right now. I like it. One of the main complaints in the Outer Worlds was a lack of content. The game could be completed in around 20 to 30 hours. So it's good to see them continuing the game. It's very much similar to Fallout. And but I would say that this is probably going to be on all consoles, because I'm playing the Outer Worlds on PS4. So chances are this is not going to be like a big selling point to buy the system itself. Psychonauts 2, I've never played the first one. Josie, did you play the first one?
I have
Okay.
not.
I
Oh, okay. Okay. So you could probably talk about this. And then Tell Me Why is a Xbox Game Studios exclusive game from Don't Nod Entertainment, and it's the studio created Life is Strange. Okay. So yeah, these are all their summer Game Fest reveals. Now they've been releasing videos on these for a while. Um, so we've already talked about Watch Dogs Legion, so I don't think we have to go over these. And then
Well, some of these are new games that were announced during the event itself or the pre-show.
okay, all right, then I guess we can cover this. Balan Wonderworld. Okay. So this is done by Square Enix. Let's see. The Bizarre Land and Wonder World, a place where... Okay, let me just play this. Okay, I'm digging this art style. Kind of reminds me of... Oh, actually, no, it doesn't. The characters don't remind me of...
Demon Souls.
I was gonna say Kingdom Hearts. The art style though kind of reminds me.
It's done by a team that worked on Nights into Dreams.
Okay. Okay, so it's a 3D action platformer. Oh, cool. Oh, that kind of reminds me of Spyro. All right, yeah, this game looks pretty cool. All right, Dragon Quest 11 S Echoes of an Elusive Age, and Josie, I know you'll be able to talk about this.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much the same version that came out on the Switch, and it's just coming out to another platform, Xbox One, and it should be coming to PlayStation 4 as well after like an exclusivity time, I guess. It's a little unfortunate,
Yeah.
but it's true, and it's just everything they did with the Switch version, which is the orchestrated soundtrack, the 2D overworld slash version of gameplay, and some extra quests.
Okay.
And I believe some extra characters. I could be wrong.
Okay. And then Echo Generation, turn-based action or turn-based adventure game about a gang of kids investigating supernatural occurrences in their small town.
That actually looks really cool. That was one that I was interested in terms of it. Like it's like this really cool voxel art. It looks like something like I don't, if you all remember it, 3D Dot Game Heroes on the PS3.
I don't remember that.
That was funny enough. That was done by From Software. But it looks like a turn-based RPG of some kind with voxel art. It looks like it takes place like sometime in the 80s, and it has very Stranger Things vibes.
Okay. And then let's see. Exo Mecha Twisted Red is a brand new free-to-play online competitive first-person shooter. So this is another. Looks like it's another battle royale game. So yeah, these are very. The market is being saturated with these right now. So not too excited about that. Hello Neighbor 2 is a stealth horror game where you're being stalked by a mysterious creature as you try to track down Mr. Peters. Okay. Play against an advanced self-learning AI that tracks and adapts to your every move. Interesting. And then we've already discussed Watch Dogs Legion here. And then these are just optimized games for the Xbox Series X. So these are games that people already have, and they can play them on the Xbox Series X. Quick note, though, Sea of Thieves actually reached 15 million total players since its inception in 2018. So I would say that game is probably one of the most successful Microsoft titles that they've had, and especially in this generation.
15, how many?
15 million. 15 million. So
that's recurring players?
No, that's total players, like people who've bought the game. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so with all that
because Sea of Thieves was available. Sea of Thieves was available via Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
So those numbers sound fudged.
They sound like people who have logged in and tried the game. I think Josie brings up a valid point. A lot of times, these companies will put out numbers like that to kind of make them seem more successful than they truly are. They'll count people who've logged in and played an hour. They'll count people who've logged in and haven't gone past the title screen just to kind of bump up their numbers.
Yeah.
So if there are 15 million recurring players that play on a regular basis, that's impressive. Something tells me it's probably not it.
Yeah, no, it's not recurring. Not recurring. Yeah. But the game is popular. A lot of people like it. Okay. So let's get started on this. Now, are there any of the smaller titles you all want to cover before we get into the whole Halo controversy?
For me, the game that really caught my eye, despite not knowing much about how the game plays, is Everwild from Rare.
Okay.
Rare is a game that I used to really, really like back in the Super Nintendo and the N64 days.
Uh-huh.
That's when I think they were in the heyday. And then once they got brought up by Microsoft, I think their quality of games and sort of the direction just kind of fell by the wayside a bit. But I thought the art style of this game was breathtakingly beautiful. Again, I don't know how it plays. I don't think anybody really knows how it plays, but I think it looks great. And hopefully it's Rare getting back on track and doing putting out quality content. That's
Can I add
that's
something
the
to
thing
that?
that caught my eye the most. Go ahead.
Can I add something to Everwild?
Yeah.
So John and I watched the this showcase together, and he was commenting on, he was interested in it, and I commented on, like, I like to see some gameplay. I don't know what the hell this game's about. Like it looks good. The art direction is amazing. And then it wasn't until recently that I found out that this game was actually revealed in X19, and it was supposed to release on the Xbox One. And also a recent report on it was that Rare actually doesn't have gameplay, that it's still very much in the conceptual phase. This is a CG cinematic only, and there is no gameplay yet. They're still working out what they want the game to be.
Oh, okay. So it's a bit.
Oh, what a bummer.
Yeah, so I mean, I was already disappointed with the showcase in general, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but Everwild might not look like Everwild when it does release, if it does release.
Okay.
It might look like Cameo.
Oh God, it might look like Grab by the Ghoulies.
So.
You're doing nuts and bolts. Please don't.
So yeah, let's talk about the reception for this. Basically, I think what their goal their goal is to sell you on the Xbox Series X, why you should buy this console. Now, that being said, John, do you think they accomplished that?
So I think I think that what they were really trying to sell is the Game Pass.
Okay.
Game Pass being a platform, I think is more. Again, this is just speculation. This is what I observed and my take on how they're approaching the next gen. I think their biggest priority is making Game Pass their platform of choice, and to get people playing their games on their PC, on their Xbox Series X, on their Xbox One, as opposed to the Series X being the primary focus. And I think I think this showcase did a better job of showcasing the attractiveness of Game Pass as a platform over their actual the Series X.
Okay, Josie.
Yeah, I think that this was supposed to be an Xbox Series X showcase, though.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
to add on to what John is saying, I understand that. See, that is their future goal. This is a stepping stone. The console is just a means to an end, and the end is literally Microsoft wants to become the Netflix of gaming. Now the problem is like Netflix, they and I'm saying Netflix like in the beginning, they are relying on other people's or other publishers' work in order to sell their game, in order to sell their what is it? Their environment, their platform, ecosystem. They're trying to sell that ecosystem, and they're not bringing enough Netflix originals, to use the metaphor, to really hammer down that you need to be on Xbox Game Pass to experience these games. Like you want to be on Xbox Game Pass. It's not only incredibly affordable, but it's where the games are. And this showcase did not bring it.
Yeah.
So and that's not just on Game Pass itself, but it's also on the Series X. the Series X is being touted as the fastest and most powerful console, and none of the games that they showed really highlighted that kind of performance capability. Now, I would say the PlayStation 5, even though the announcement of the PlayStation 5 and their games, even though some of them were also cinematics, they were jaw dropping graphically. Really good example is, I think, what was it called? Project Athia, the one from Square Enix.
Yeah,
I forget what
Project
it's called.
Athia.
Yeah, Project Athia. That looked incredible.
Mhm.
Ratchet and Clank, as cartoony as it is, you could tell that they were using all the all the graphics
Horizon. Horizon looked
for them
amazing.
to seamlessly move from world to world within gameplay
Yeah.
and all the particle effects. It was an impressive showcase of what what the PlayStation 5 is capable of, and it was chugging along seamlessly.
Yeah.
It's things like that this Xbox showcase was sorely missing.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And let's get into the biggest disappointment, Halo Infinite. Um, so we're all Halo players here. We've all played Halo. We all love Halo. I have every single Halo game over there. Um, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I saw some people who were like, "Oh, they're just harkening back to the older Halo games. They're trying to make it look like the older Halo games, bring back that nostalgia." But I want to say something here. That is BS, and the reason why that is BS is because from Halo 1 to Halo 4, they have graphically improved every single version of the game. It isn't until Halo 5 and this one that they're actually going backwards. It makes no sense. If you create a franchise and you improve the graphics every single iteration for like 6 games, don't you think your players are expecting that? It just doesn't make sense to me. The argument makes no sense to me. I mean, what do you all think about that?
I haven't heard that argument. I think I heard that argument in terms of gameplay, but not in terms of graphics. And even then, in terms of gameplay, there hasn't been enough improvement in order to even like look at it and be like, oh yes, I need to play this Halo game because they've changed so much.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that really caught my eye for Halo in terms of like the progression of Halo throughout the years was Halo 1 and Halo 2. They both came out on the Xbox.
Hmm.
And for the most part, aside from maybe like some dual wielding in Halo 2, they were kind of the same. Halo 2 expanded things, they made the multiplayer more robust, and that's why it's so revered. But Halo 3, when that one cinematic came out where Master Chief is just running and he stops and he throws that shield bomb down
Yeah.
and he's surrounded by that shield, introducing that new mechanic in a CG sequence, I was hyped. They showed
Yeah.
me gameplay here, and the only new thing was a grappling hook. like I just it's such a step backwards. I have no interest in this Halo, and it looks so much like Halos of old that in some regards I can respect, in that maybe they're trying to say, hey, look, we messed up on Halo 4, we messed up on Halo 5. We're trying to show you that we can do Halo properly. So this is how it used to be done. We're doing it right. But they didn't improve beyond that to show us that they're good stewards of this property and they can take it forward. They've only taken it backward, like you said.
Yeah. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree with just about everything you guys said. Halo it's the gem in their crown. This is their flagship, arguably the most important flagship franchise that Microsoft has. And 343 Studios, this is their third attempt at making a Halo game that that pays homage to the series as a whole. And from what I've seen, like gaming moving into next gen, visually graphics have pretty much hit a maturation point. Graphics are great now. You look at the the current crop of PlayStation 4 games and even the Xbox One games, they look amazing. So taking that next graphical leap, we're expected to see something a lot more enticing than what we saw with the Halo Infinite gameplay. And I didn't see anything in that gameplay footage that leads me to believe that this can't run on the current generation console. In fact, it looks worse than some of the best stuff that's out there right now.
Yep.
And that's just a shame. So what I did see yesterday, or maybe this morning, about this game is that footage was from an old build, which doesn't really kind of save this their doesn't give them an excuse for putting out old content 4 months before release of the game. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
That
unless
sounds
they
like
were
marketing.
having issues.
It does sound like marketing. It seems like something they're putting out there to kind of to detract from all the naysayers about this reveal.
It's like, hey, we've been building up to this showcase, and we just want to show you old footage because we have this platform that's opening up in November. At least we know that it's happening in November. But hey, we just want to show you this old footage just to have footage out there. No. That's silly.
Yeah, which leads me to the conclusion that they probably had issues last minute. Why would you guys are completely right. Why would you show old footage? Doesn't make any sense.
And like Josie said, the only thing that we've seen as far as expanding the gameplay is the addition of a grappling hook, which in 2020 is not that new. We see grappling hooks in everything now. So they really had to do more to up the ante. And speaking of graphics, I saw a lot of pop-in. Textures were just popping in. Textures look really simple. I saw mountains towards the end of the trailer when Master Chief is standing on a cliff and looking out at the vista. You could see a mountain clearly just pop in. And that's something that's just a little attention to detail that they should have taken care of before they put this out there in front of such a big audience,
I think that this is the price that's being paid for creating an open world Halo, and that's one of the reasons why I'm mostly disappointed in this game. Is this looks like Bungie with Destiny all over again. They've even said themselves that they're looking at a 10-year plan for this game. It just screams of games as a service.
Yeah, so they're not even looking at it as we're going to make this game the best version of this game on release. They're looking at it as, oh no, we can fix that later.
Exactly. And then patch in or sell DLC for new story scenarios, what have you, just like Destiny.
Halo Infinite Money Pit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And they didn't even, and here's the most egregious thing. They didn't even show multiplayer. There's people that just play Halo for multiplayer. I didn't. I love the multiplayer, don't get me wrong, but they didn't show multiplayer. That's why?
Yeah. No, I played the heck out of Halo multiplayer. I mean, I still do. I have the anniversary collection on my PC. So, yeah, I mean, as a huge Halo fan and somebody who just still plays it, the older versions, it's very disappointing to see. And I think you all brought up some great points, and I think that the need for them to stress that this game is going to be so great that you're going to need an Xbox Series X, it fell completely flat on its face. So,
well, not just that, but they also stated after the fact, I think it was in the same press release, that Halo Infinite was running off of a PC with similar specs to the Xbox Series X, which again, why?
yeah.
This is the Xbox Series X showcase.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, so they didn't even showcase it on the system.
So here's the thing, I love the Xbox 360. I enjoyed my Xbox. The Xbox One, unfortunately, hasn't been the best, but I do enjoy it for third-party games. And it's just unfortunate to see that, like how it started with the forced connect and online connectivity being required.
Yeah.
It's come a long way from that. But at the same time, Microsoft themselves, I feel like, hasn't really grown from that mindset in terms of looking at this showcase and looking at the initial showcase where, like, hey, you don't have a good internet? Buy an Xbox 360.
Yeah.
The showcase is like, hey, just wait a second. We're going to show the Xbox Series X, but this is an older build. Give us a break. You had all the breaks.
Yeah.
What were you doing getting ready for this? And not just that, not just the Halo. We really haven't spoken about it, but there was barely any gameplay in the hour-long showcase for a system that's supposedly coming 4 months down.
Yeah. It just failed. It just failed. I mean, the PlayStation 5 showcase was pretty good. This one,
Comparatively speaking, yes.
It was a gold standard.
yeah. So, yeah, I think it's a shame to
Do you see a reason to get a Geo?
What?
Do you see a reason to get the Xbox Series X?
No, because
I mean, you sold your Xbox One.
yeah, I sold my Xbox One after I played Halo 5 and I was like, this looks worse than Halo 4. Like and I don't get it. I don't get what they're trying to do. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you got to make the game look better. You just got to do it. That's what name one successful game franchise where they progressively make the graphics worse. I don't know of one.
And here's another thing, and this is just like to beat the dead horse, but the graphics, yes, but also the facial capture. If you have a team, Ninja Theory, a AA studio that makes incredible looking facial capture with Senua's Sacrifice / Senua's Saga, and your premier flagship Halo game can't match that or exceed it, something's really wrong.
Yeah, like, they should be harnessing every single studio that they have to their advantage, especially for the flagship. Like John said, this is their flagship game. If one studio over here does facial expressions better, okay, use them for the facial expressions. If one studio over here does maps better, use them for the maps. Just use your resources wisely. They're not doing that.
They bought all these studios for what? For what?
Yeah, it's just a shame to see such a beloved franchise as Halo go down the drain like this. It really is. Now, who knows? Maybe it'll come out and it'll have an awesome story and it'll have great gameplay. You're shaking your head no. I'm not, because
So John and I watching the showcase, Alana Pierce during the pre-show was like, I want this to have an amazing story. And I was like, I told John, I was like, hold your horses, Alana. Let's get the gameplay right first.
Yeah.
Because they haven't. They
Yeah.
haven't nailed it in Halo 4 or Halo 5.
No.
And I think everything else will come. Granted, it should already have these amazing things, but they haven't been able to bring it. So obviously they need to get at least one thing right before they can get to the next.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, isn't Bungie so I know Bungie works on Destiny, but I mean, what, like, is it impossible to bring them back into the fold for Halo? I mean, were so many bridges burned that they just can't ever work on it again? That's what I'm wondering. Because
I think so. I think they're happy working on Destiny 2 and their various DLC, and then presumably leading into Destiny 3 at some point. Microsoft has put in their eggs in the 343 basket as for now. And as much as we're disappointed by this game, we'll know when the final product comes out, right? If this was indeed an old build of the game, and and the game turns out to be better than what it looks to be, maybe there's. And I'm playing the marketing guy here.
Yeah.
So maybe the game isn't as bad as it looks. Only time will tell. But it did not leave a good first impression. I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah.
For such a storied franchise, it's aimed that make Halo great, like it used to be, and it's just not there anymore.
No, you're right. You're right. It's a shame.
As far as like the other, there was a significant lack of quote unquote bangers in this presentation as compared to Sony's presentation, where game after game just reinforced the fact that this is a worthy upgrade to the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And this is something that I want to get, if not in the launch day, then certainly the launch window. The Series X hasn't done that yet.
No. And I also heard from a friend of mine who said that this is just a rumor, but he said it's that he heard that Capcom might be working on a new game for Microsoft. And it's like, okay, if that's true, why not make a screenshot and throw it up there? Like, put everything you got. Pick the best of what you got, even what you got coming. You can make a small trailer. You don't have to have a full version of the game. Look at what From Software does. They have 5-second trailers, and people are
that Sekiro reveal when it was just him like tuning his arm, and you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And we didn't know what it was until
Elden Ring. I mean, like, it's what the trailer's like 10 seconds or something. I don't know. Do something.
I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed, and I think that whoever's at the helm, if it's Phil Spencer or whomever, like, really look at your own content. Are you really proud of it? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I feel like they're deluding themselves somehow. Like they're, like they're not being honest about like, hey guys, so I just realized, why do our games suck?
Why don't we have any gameplay in this game showcase?
Yeah. So, okay.
One game that did show gameplay and that I'm actually interested in, The Medium.
The Medium, okay.
The Medium is a survival horror game with like genius like worlds at the same time. I forget. I don't know how they're saying it. Do you know? Do you remember, John?
Dual reality, concurrent worlds or something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
go forward a little bit more. They're going to show gameplay. They actually show gameplay.
Okay. So it's kind of like Silent Hill.
Yes.
It has the same vibe for sure.
Yes.
Interesting.
And I think I speak for all of us. We all love the survival horror genre. So a new entry in that genre is cool with me.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Yeah, that's gameplay right there.
Yeah, this does look pretty cool.
Josie and I were talking about this during the presentation. The game that looks most next gen out of what they showed was a game with the most generic name, Crossfire X. Like, ironically, it looked the most next gen ready, as opposed to even something like Halo.
But it also looks as generic as it sounds.
Yeah.
Crossfire X.
Generic military man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I just think they did a poor job organizing it. They didn't have what they needed to impress people, so it is what it is. All right, so let's finish up as how we always do, kind of briefly go over what's coming up next week. So So Josie, I want to ask you, Neo 2, the Tengu's Disciple. Are you going to be getting this?
I already have it. I already have it.
Excellent.
I bought the deluxe edition of Neo 2, so I already have all the DLC.
Excellent. So you're probably going to be playing this right when it drops, huh?
No, because I just finished beating Xenoblade Chronicles and Wolfenstein: The Old Blood,
Hmm.
and now I'm gonna give a chance to Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh,
So,
yes, that's right.
so I mean, I already own Neo 2, and I already have this just by right of having it. But I probably won't get to it until a little bit later.
Okay. So we got Destroy All Humans, Other Side. This game actually piqued my interest. It looks pretty cool. Pistol Whip. This is a game that you can actually get on the Quest, and it looks pretty cool. It's like a fast-paced VR shooter. This is coming out for PS4 VR. Samurai Showdown Neo
Cool.
Geo Collection. What?
I said cool.
Okay. Samurai Showdown Neo Geo Collection. I actually got this for free on the Epic Game Store, believe it or not. So I have this. I didn't even pay for it. And also,
Are you gonna
what?
Are you gonna review it?
No. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you're a Neo Geo fan and you like the old Samurai Showdown games, you're gonna like this no matter what, most likely. And also, Limited Run has this. Do you know if it ran out, Josie, or if they still have it up?
They still have it up right now.
Okay.
As of now.
So yeah, if you want a physical copy, head on to Limited Run. They also have nice looking packages where it looks like it's a Neo Geo game. Skater XL, Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme Verse Maxi Boost On. That's quite a title. This is actually a very popular fighting game in Japan, and it's finally coming out on the PS4. So I'm definitely thinking about this one. And we already
I think
covered.
it's free.
Is it free?
I think it might be free to play.
Okay. Yeah, if that's the case, then I'll download it. Castle Storm 2. It looks like a strategy game. I don't know much about it. And then Fairy Tail. Do you know this is a JRPG? You know anything about Fairy Tail, Josie?
Yes, it's a JRPG based off of the anime. It's developed by Gust Studios. Gust, I believe they did the. I could be wrong. I think they did the Artonelico series, but I'm actually pretty excited for this Fairy Tail. I want to see more. I actually haven't seen the anime, so the only reason I'd want it is just to play the game.
Cool.
But we'll probably find out more later.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's it for today. John, thanks for joining us. You're always welcome in the future. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks. Take care and have a good one.
Peace.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this episode of Games I Speak. If you liked the episode, please subscribe and leave a comment below, and we'll see you all next time.